Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below this video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out, thanks and appreciation to Otto Skylark, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, Ben White, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dale West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Just give it a fake tangent line.
the foldable tangent line that takes you anywhere.
They used a plumb bob in space.
There we go. Working on any other poems on deck?
I have actually, yeah.
What's the latest? What's the title?
Called No Gravity, No Globe.
You got it ready to go?
It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think you'll get it. Yeah, I can do it, yeah.
All right. It's better than a foot in your mouth.
I'm just taking that locket out. A bit of a sore throat. Right then. No gravity, no globe. Thank God for gravity, or we'd all be dead. This started out with Newton. Let's hear what he said. Mass attracts mass. That's why things fall. It's what keeps the oceans stuck to the ball. Thank God for gravity, or we'd all be dead. Now here's Einstein's new gravity, because Newton's is dead. So let's hear what scientific Einstein said. Gravity is no longer a force. And wait for it, this only gets worse. Gravity is now a concept of bending space-time. It's in a fourth dimension. Why would I lie? You just can't see it or test it to prove that it's there. It's an imaginary concept, to be fair. This is a brief description of gravity number 2. And if humanity keeps on waking, this is what we'll do. We'll invent a new gravity and call it number 3. We have to keep the globe glide spinning, you see. But in the meantime, remember what was said. Thank God for gravity, or we'd all be bloody dead. And that's it. Don't know if that went through or what, lads, I don't know.
You're calling from Discord, so there should be other people.
So, 10th man, when these people supposedly go up on their Elon Musk trips and Bezos trips, my brother seems to think that they're going to see a ball like the astronaut supposedly seen. Is he out of his mind?
No, he's not out of his mind. That's his paradigm. That's what he believes. And the higher you go, just like if you go, like when the World Trade Centers were there, and I was at the top of the one that had the restaurant, my view of New York totally changed compared to the one I had when I was at the ground level looking up at the buildings. So the higher you go, you have a whole different perspective. The problem is it doesn't help the globe when the higher you go.
Yeah, but I'm saying even on his trip, they're just claiming to go higher. They're not claiming that they're going to be able to see what the supposed astronauts seen, correct?
Well, they're not. They call it low orbit, whatever that means to them. There's no such thing as an orbit, but they're just going high. And even the people who were NASA astronauts were saying, yeah, they're not in space. They're just high altitude. They're just at the highest part that you can go before going into space. So even as it was happening, they were already downplaying that they're not real astronauts when they pay for these expensive trips. It doesn't matter.
Guys,
Neil deGrasse Tyson already said you can't see the curve of the Earth. Well, if it's supposed to be a ball, why can't we see it?
Me?
No, go on now.
Can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry, I did. I think I got cut off. Then it went blank. I couldn't hear anything. It's okay.
Yeah, you were kind of spotty. I was talking, you were talking, but you couldn't hear us. But you're good now.
Ah, right. No worries. All right. Cheers.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Neil, if people want to believe that, just leave them to it.
No, but I'm saying that's part of the deception. He thinks that's, I'd like to get a hold of that. Who was the artist that started everything off with the real or picture? Who was that guy? Oh, God, I can't remember his name.
Math Powerland.
Powerland, yes. I want to send him a few of those videos because he doesn't understand that he will never, ever, ever see Earth from that point of view, ever. Because, first of all, it's not a ball, but it just, when you hear that, I don't know, it struck me.
Yeah,
well, the high altitude balloons destroyed what they had always told us to believe. When the high altitude balloons went up and you just see a plane, you say, whoa, I thought it was supposed to see curvature. So now well, you're not high enough.
Well, you know what it is, too? Kind of like I'm thinking back on that argument we had on the phone when he started with that nonsense. He was quoting everything Kent Hovind said that I heard like years ago. He was using all of those Kent Hovind arguments.
Who are you referencing?
My brother John.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, well, that's what people do.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, no, we quote QE, we quote Nathan, we quote ourselves when we do research. It's fine to quote someone, you just got to back it up.
Nothing wrong with Kent Hovind's anti-evolution arguments. What's wrong with them?
No.
Excellent, in fact.
His flat Earth ones, when he was saying that if it was so important, why didn't Jesus tell the disciples about it? Or when you stand up on the high tree, whatever he was talking about, at the four corners of the earth, these were all things Ken Hovind had said. So he must have stumbled across a video and thought he had it locked down.
So they've taken this situation and said that if it's that big, that important, that big of a lie, why didn't Jesus say anything? Because they believed the earth was flat back then. How's that?
That's what I said. Hello. Nobody was saying that it was a spinning water ball.
If the current lie was water isn't wet, for whatever reason, you wouldn't use an argument that said, why didn't Jesus point out that the water's wet? We're currently told it isn't. It's like, well, because they weren't stupid, maybe. They didn't need telling that it isn't a ball when no one was suggesting that it was.
I mean, they're scrambling at this point. I mean, just to have a decent conversation about it is difficult because of it's been embedded in people so much.
And it does tell you it's a creation, doesn't it? It doesn't mention anything about a Big Bang in the Bible, does it, really?
Nope. No. It's like yesterday. Nathan playing baller was great because he knows both sides of the arguments, and you could see what he was doing because if you follow the show, he pretty much was telling you what he was doing while he was doing it, and they're just scrambling.
Yeah, I have to work on that, aren't I? Well, this could be quite demeaning. Until I can trust that I will get the reply I want, I'll have to play both sides of the argument in terms of my disclaimers that suggest the debunking.
I know. I was listening to you quite intensely on what you were doing.
Listen, but if they keep scrambling, tense, they're going to have a lot of egg on their face.
That's right. That's the problem with the globe. It's a yoke of bondage. Yeah, it's okay though, Nathan, because like me, I go slower. I like to listen, laugh a little, ask a question, have them say something, listen, ask another question. You're fast. You go right to the point. And for me, I just like that long asking questions where they're committing to things along the way, and then I just go back to it. So it was fun yesterday because was it Neil, Arwen, and I think it was just us three, right?
Yeah, but I like how you made him summarize everything at the end. That was really good.
Well, that's what we need. We need why does Nathan say this when they say that? And then when he explains it, he's got a full command of the arguments. That's when people can learn. See, I don't catch all the fallacies or any of that. I just keep it tight. The Black Swan and the sextant, and, obviously gas pressure and no Earth-based Coriolis, they'll come in as well. I mean, I did a live one and I posted it on my channel where I'm just going back and forth asking questions. You're not going to convert someone on the spot unless they have researched and have done things before and it's been on their mind, so they really want to talk to you about it. If you're talking to someone brand new, you're just practically just planting a seed at that point. And so there's no reason to overdo anything. Just have them leave you with questions in their mind. That guy made a good point there. I got to research that. If I can have someone leave in that way who has done no preliminary research, that's the best. Now, if I met your brother who's arguing with you, Neil, he's probably further along the way, so it'd be different with him.
Well, he seems to think that we're bringing a mockery to Christianity.
No, he's conflating Christianity with what we're talking about, the shape of the earth. Christianity has nothing to do with the shape of the earth.
You know what he's saying, no.
It doesn't matter. It's not the issue. That's not why Jesus came. He came for our sins and to give us redemption and hope. Now, if he wants to say, is there anywhere in the Bible? Well, this is falling into our ground. Yeah, show me the sphere in the Bible. Please, show me outer space. Show me black hole. Show me all these things. It's not there. In fact, the opposite is there. So they don't want to go to the Bible with someone who's done the research.
There's nothing there, is there, really?
No.
I mean, just a simple Google search on scientific proof we live on a globe. I've been through 3 or 4 pages and there's not one scientific supposed proof. It's all like, here's 7 ways you can tell the Earth is a globe. here's 7 things a child could do. There's not one scientific piece of paper, well, because there isn't any scientific proof, obviously, but I mean,
Right.
just by that fact, it's telling you that it isn't scientifically proved.
Yeah, but this is the problem. I know what science is now. I didn't know back then, and he's in that same position. But I don't like the fact that he will not even glance to hear the arguments and see from both sides. He just wants to spout out from one side. I mean, that's ignorance.
Well, that's a clear sign. You need to stop talking to him about it, because there's no interest in it. There's only this cheerleading of something that can't be proven on his part, and let him know it doesn't matter to you. Let him suffer with it. They're suffering right now. They got nothing. They know they got nothing. They're just regurgitating stuff. I don't know of a flat earther who wouldn't meet somebody to discuss the subject openly in, careful, articulate manner. But I sure do know a bunch of people who don't want to do that with the flat earthers.
Yeah, especially Christendom.
Well, yeah, because it's they don't want to think that. Well, it's not just Christians. It's the human condition of been lied to. But there's that can't be that stupid. No. So then pride kicks in, because everybody has it. Even Christians have to fight it. That's the whole point of repentance, because we still have that issue.
It's like I've got a friend. I mean, I was just going to say, Neil, I asked him to send you the globe proof. Most people give you the NASA story. Now, I've got a friend of the family. We don't argue about it. He's not a flat earther. I am. But he doesn't believe anybody landed on the moon, but he believes we live on a globe. So I'm saying, well, you won't believe NASA on the moon story, but you'll believe the globe story. And this is how he is, and I can't convince him any otherwise. But I find that odd that he just laughs about the moon landing, and he can see how fake that is. But he won't budge from the globe.
I hear you, but what shocked me about my brother is we've never had this conversation. And I think it's because of my other brother who told me about flat earth. He's the one that I literally started attacking as soon as he said we're not in a spinning water ball anymore. But that brother went on to become a Hebrew roots movement guy. So now he's got him labeled as a quack. Like, he's going with everything that goes his way. I said, well, that's him, not me.
So
I'm sound in my doctrine, and I'm sound on the proof that we have that Earth is not a sphere.
So I literally went from begging to bacon the question.
Yeah. Salami and bacon. Bacon and more salami.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Yeah. Let's get it going.
Neil's happy because the Rangers won. Good morning, everybody.
Correct them and go.
Nobody cares about the Rangers. Anybody in Discord care about the Rangers? See? Nobody cares about the Rangers. See, I used that silence at the beginning of the live show to my advantage today, Neil. See how I did that?
You got to make sure Discord's working, though, first.
Yeah, I know they're not going to respond.
I see the way you did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Working.
There you go. Getting after the fact because they're insulted that I said they wouldn't respond and I predicted so. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Enough of this. My brother knows a scientist, quite a few scientists, and they said this flat Earth is a psyop and it's stupid. Enough.
Yeah, but we're asking about Earth curve, where the horizon is supposed to be Earth curve.
Take a rocket ship up, pay the money, and you will see Earth curve. Actually, he thinks you will see the whole ball.
Yeah, but if it's blocking the bottom of boats and buildings, don't we see it?
We debunked Earth curve as being the horizon, so we haven't got a geometric physical limitation like a hill blocking boats and buildings. What we've got is a horizon. You know, it's not actually a location at all. I know it's claimed to be blocking boats and buildings, but that's very much a 2015 position to be taking from their side.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Why do you need to go up to see it when they're telling us you see it because it's blocking boats and buildings? So it should be blocking boats and buildings, except it's not.
Like, I hate to be pedantic, but stop calling it. What do you mean it? What's it? What are you going to go up and see when you say it?
Meaning their argument.
Meaning Earth curve.
Ball Earth.
Meaning
Earth.
Earth curve at the horizon, which is distinguished by nothing in terms of what you actually are going to see at altitude versus what you'll see at the ground. You can see a horizon from the ground, and the horizons claim to be Earth curve. So this nonsense notion that you have to go up to some height to see a different Earth curve, well, no, that's sidestepping the fact that there would also be simultaneously a left to right curvature in that physical limitation we think the horizon is when we were ballers in 2015. Well, that limitation would also bend and become more and more sphere-shaped as you go up if the horizon was Earth curve. It isn't. We debunked it. Doesn't matter what height you're at. It's claimed to be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height of feet. Well, height in feet, it doesn't matter how high you go. That's still claimed to be the limitation to your view. And we've debunked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eratosthenes didn't go up, did he? He just measured an elevation angle from the surface of the Earth. He didn't go up anywhere, and he measured, apparently, the curve of the Earth using an angle measurement.
Precisely. You're going to need a flat Earth for all of their measurements. Do you want to continue with the housekeeping, 10th? Hey, Arwen.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Any evidence of Earth radius, the R value?
It can only be derived from a flat plane.
Al Baruni measured it, but he had to, first of all, get an elevation angle off the flat horizontal baseline at the foot of the mountain.
You want to go into that, Arwen? What you meant by that?
Well, how you could still do it, you can't really use the geometry of the horizon anymore, right? Because of Black Swan observations, but you can still just take the celestial lineup of like sun and moon averaging position, which would be recognized as the equator line within the map projection based on the celestials onto that flat plane, and then like derive the circle of that into, well, the circumference, which you can then use to back calculate the radius. Is that detailed enough?
Well, no, I meant the initial move was to use angle measurements. Wouldn't that
That's
be
not the question, right?
Is there any evidence of Earth radius, the R value? And then you answered something considering angles, right? Yeah, you need a flat Earth to do that.
I didn't say that. I said we derive it from a flat plane.
Right. And so angle measurements can only be done from a...
Flat plane.
Thank you. Any evidence of axial rotation, Earth-based variety?
Stars rotating.
Oh, here we go again. Yes, either the Earth is rotating or the stars are rotating. And you say the stars are rotating.
No, the gas is rotating with the Earth, right?
Oh,
so it's like columns that are like cells in lockstep moving lockstep with the Earth rotation.
Sure, why not?
All relative.
Why not? All right, so Nathan, let me ask you something. Since you're playing baller here. If the Earth is moving, you're saying that's why the stars seem to be moving, but it's really the Earth moving, correct?
I just said the stars are moving. That's all I said.
But why are the stars moving? Why are they moving?
Because Earth's turning beneath its Coriolis deflection.
Gotcha. Okay, so if the stars are moving or they seem to be moving to us because we're on the Earth and it's actually spinning, then shouldn't anything like an airplane or a drone, hot air balloons, shouldn't they deviate?
They do. So if you fire a bullet at a target a long way away, you have to concern yourself with how much Earth will turn beneath the bullet. Also, Neil deGrasse Tyson calculated precisely how much turn of the Earth there'd be when he claimed that the field goal was assisted by Earth's rotation. Well, that'd be Earth rotating underneath the ball to assist the field goal. So yes, that Coriolis deflection described in the stars is also applicable because we have two reference frames, Earth turning beneath a second inertial reference frame. That's correct.
So a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, does that take an hour and a half because Earth's turning towards it? Or does it still take over 4.5 hours?
Yes, it does. That's correct.
It
like
does.
the football, Earth turns beneath a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina. And if you're travelling to LA in that direction, the flight only takes an hour and a half. Everyone knows that.
Really? Well, at least you're being honest about it, but your facts won't bear out because the flight still takes over 4.5 hours to come back. So Earth is not turning.
There's no bears in LA.
There's no what?
Bears.
Bears?
What?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
The Bears are in Chicago.
No evidence for the distance to the sun. I'm still trying to figure out what the bears meant.
What about, do you, Discord? Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, the distance of the sun, isn't it just derived from the assumption that Venus is the same size and then a bunch of angular shifting and then a value is assigned?
You know, when we face the anti-flat earthers and they throw things at us in regards to our arguments, well, in recent days, they've thrown back in our direction this elevation angle height. So while we call it an elevation angle measurement, you're talking literally about the height as the angle through the protractor or sextant, but you're not actually getting its height, but we're challenged and charged to acquire the height from our opponents. Now, until now, I was just like, well, that's just a minor irritation because you just point out it's not required or necessary to do triangulation. And that was kind of the end of it. But then it occurred to me, why are we being asked to acquire the height? Is it so that they can pull us into the false dichotomy if we say it's 3000K or whatever the claim from flat earthers is? So they can argue that their height's a different height? But then it suddenly dawned on me that no, it doesn't stack up as a false dichotomy because in their version of triangulation, when they acquire an elevation angle from a flat plane and give us the justification for how they've got tangent planes to horizons we don't see that are being corrected for dip, they don't actually have an ascribed height to the star or the sun in this example. So that's why they're asking. Typically when they've got a weak-ass part of their argument, rather than defend that weak part of their argument or have it even be discussed, charge us with explaining it, a la the Earth curve edge that is the disk Earth with a boat falling over it, when in reality Earth curve is an edge that boats are falling over. It's just not the horizon. We've debunked it, but that's very much their position rather than ours. Weak when the horizon's not physical, and weak enough for them to project their argument onto us and ask us where our edge is all the time. Well, this is no different. Them asking us from the anti-flat Earth side what the height of the sun, in this example, when you're using it for triangulation is because they can't ascribe a height to it anymore. They have it set at an infinite distance to do triangulation. They're not measuring the height either. In fact, they're relinquishing their, Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion in terms of the scaling values they've acquired by our values ascribed to Venus. Well, that has to be put to the wayside the moment you ask them back, well, what's the height of the sun then? You're triangulating this. Okay, let's just take it as read, that we've got a horizon, second one that we can't see, it's debunked, it hasn't got a straight line to it, but we will have a straight line to it for this example. Okay, with that notwithstanding, what's your height of the sun? Let's see what their answer is. I'd like to know. Comment below, ballers. In your triangulation method, what's the height of the sun?
I want to answer this. It's a good postulation. It's a good question. But they just don't need it, right? The only thing they need is to just presuppose that the Earth is a ball, whether that is provable or not to them. It doesn't matter. That's the only way they see it. Infinite distance, Earth, a ball underneath, then it matches enough to them. They just don't need that height. They don't need any of that.
They haven't said they do or don't, and it's never come up until I've just raised it. But ultimately, while you say they don't need it, they have ascribed it. It's already a claim in situ for the heliocentric model. I realise there's been a few people that have come and gone. I think it was Bob the Science Guy that had this in his presentation and sort of said, well, yes, we'll set them at an infinite distance just for this example. Or it might have been Zanuck. I forget who, but I'm sure there was more than one that just rolled past that little detail. Now, we've also had 10th Man on numerous occasions tell us this, why we know. We all know. Nobody's challenging me on it and going, really? Do they have it in it? No, we all know this. But we're being asked what the height of the star is, and we've never claimed one here. I know other flat earthers have, and stereotyping fallacies aside, we're not claiming it. We're still being asked it, though. Yeah, which is very telling
really need it either,
from past experience.
Right? Sorry. We don't really need it either, right?
For us, no. Stop. You're looking at this wrong, Owen.
From the celestial sphere.
Owen.
And then
Owen. Just one sec. You're looking at it wrong. Whether or not we need it is quite specific, because we not only don't need it, we're not claiming it. That's the point. When you juxtapose us not claiming a height at all, regardless of if we need one or not, we don't. Now you're saying, by contrast, neither do they need a height. No. Yeah, they do. They've already got one ascribed. It's part of their claim. So when you say they don't need one, well, why have they got it as part of their claim? Are they relinquishing that? Well, yeah, up until now, they just brush past that. Well, no, hold on. Why have we got the stars at infinite distance when you talk about straight lines to geometric horizons we can't see, but can see to correct from? That paradox aside also, why is it that we're just letting them roll with the fact that they're setting their stars to infinite distances now? Just to do this also, and just yet another thing that they have to relinquish in the model. We'll relinquish the curved surface. We'll draw out a tangent plane. We'll correct for dip from a horizon we can't see, that we've got a straight line to correct from it when we do see it, but we can't see it. We give them all that, and then they go, oh, well, as for the stars, we'll also set them infinitely distant. Why would we tolerate that?
Excuse me, but this sounds maybe a little silly, but they're ballers. This is what they do. This is what they've always done. Why would we tolerate them being ballers is basically what I'm hearing in your question.
No, I'm saying, why wouldn't we hold them to their claim when they roll with the punches that they can set them to an infinite distance, because they need to set it to an infinite distance, as opposed to stick in line with their claim that they're at certain distances that they've got measured according to them. Well, if you're going to set them to an infinite distance, does that mean that the claim that they are at set distance doesn't work then? Because why would you have to set them infinite?
Nothing about what they do works. They only adapt their argumentation to contemporary situations in order to have a seeming overhand and grip on the situation. It's much more about make-believe, make-believe understanding than actually making a consistent case. It's what they always do. It's what they do back and forth, even in the same sentence, if you push them, right? They don't need that consistency. Like, you would need it if you want to actually prove something. That's not what they're doing. They're just following the religion.
But the religion says they're at a set distance. That's my point.
Yeah, but it's not relevant to them.
It is. That's why I'm saying we should hold them to it. When they say, oh, well, what about when we draw these angles out? Well, are we drawing these angles out to the scaled distances in the heliocentric model if you're claiming Earth's a sphere? Would be my next question from this point forward. You're saying, well, they don't need it. Well, do they not need their claim of a 93 million mile sun? Because if they don't need it, why are they claiming it? And because they are claiming it, I'm going to damn well hold them to it. Shout
Well,
out to
good luck with
Godzilla.
that. They're never going to do it because that makes things too cluttered. That's like asking them, hey, could you show us how to navigate on a ball Earth with a sextant? No, they're not going to do that. They're just going to show you some kind of weird displacement of a flat Earth on a ball, and it makes no sense. That's what they're going to show. They're not actually going to do it. Are you actually expecting ballers to really work out things as if they were on a ball? That's not what they do.
No, but you got to be careful with what you say. Yes, I expect ballers to do that. What I know is anti-flat earthers don't. Just let me read out Godzilla's super chat before we move on with this, Arwin. Sorry. I'm still sitting over here with 10th, wondering what you meant by no bears in California. ... I can't go forward with my day until this is answered. Just scroll 60 seconds before I said it and listen to what 10th man said to yield that response, Godzilla, and then you'll understand. But I'm not going to explain it, no. Like puns, that's just not what we do here. It's not what I do.
We're doing Easter egg puns now?
Pardon?
Are we doing Easter egg puns now?
Puns should always be Easter eggs. The ideal pun goes over the head of everybody in the conversation, and only a third person listening in catches it and sniggers. That's the ideal pun. It doesn't disrupt the conversation. Nobody discusses it or laughs about it. Only the onlookers laugh.
That's not what seems to be happening on the Flat Earth debates, though.
No, I appreciate that. We've got a very low standard in terms of our puns. The standards need to be raised.
Wait a minute.
I didn't say
Morning,
that.
guys.
What do you
Hey,
mean low
Chocolate.
standard on our puns? Hey, Chocolate.
Yo, Choco.
Well, I got mine, what I would call a high standard of pun. I got about 5 in yesterday, and no one picked up on any of them. Then an audience member, when I published it to the members yesterday after the show finished recording, one of the audience members picked up on one of them. I'm like, that's good. You don't want all 5 to get noticed immediately. But if one gets picked, and I did repeat it, which kind of annoyed me when I listened back. I was going, oh, if I hadn't have repeated it, would he have picked up on it? Maybe he wouldn't. Anyway, let's not discuss puns. We were doing housekeeping, but I kind of took over when I dropped in that bear
So
comment.
back to the distance. So you're saying they have both sides of the argument at the same time.
I'm saying that they have to relinquish a very fundamental part of their model in terms of their scale and distance, which is asserted when they claim they're on a sphere. Well, if you're going to relinquish a very major part of your claim in order to do celestial navigation, in my view, that should draw a what's the word? Not a segue. Like a chunk of the argument should take place there, in my view.
So because they give an actual distance to the sun, 93 million miles, but then they say in celestial navigation, they're at infinite distance. That's what you're drawing attention to, correct?
Well, I'm saying that, so what's the dealio there then? So obviously we're all being told 93 million miles to this and various distances to the other planets that they've all got set and tell us that that's the right distances. Okay, well, that's what we've got to accept if we accept that Mars is a planet and it's so far away and people are travelling to it, right? It's pretty fundamental. They're sending shit there. Excuse my French. They're sending stuff to Mars with calculated distance. They've even got Neil deGrasse Tyson telling us it would be more difficult to fake the moon landings than me do a quick calculation on how much fuel they'd need. So the distances are pretty critical. But yet, when we're doing navigation on the ground to actually find our way around stuff we do experience, as opposed to space, we're going to relinquish that idea and notion that Mars is a certain distance away. Why?
Well, if you're going to hold them to that, you might as well hold them to the rest of it. They assume the Earth is stationary and it's a celestial sphere that's turning.
Right, I'm a little puzzled about you stating like, oh, but they're relinquishing a major chunk of like their entire model. Oh, you mean like the horizon that's suddenly not geometric anymore, and the Coriolis deviation that we don't expect to see? I mean, they've done that with every part of their model. Every part.
Yes, and it's always good to highlight when they do, to have that sort of summary that you've just given, Arwin.
Did what I say to go over everyone's head? It wasn't a pun.
No, what did you say?
I said, if you're going to hold them to that, hold them to the fact that they have to admit the Earth must be stationary and it's a celestial sphere that's turning.
Sure.
That's their model.
Sure, but in the same way the last day and a half I've been arguing, yeah, as a result of Earth turning underneath, yeah, you can consider them as moving when you do the celestial navigation, but that's because Earth's turning underneath. You just don't consider it that way, even though that is the case. That would be my position as a baller. So focusing on that doesn't help. Whereas if you say, okay, we'll take all of those things as read, right? Okay, the stars are moving as a result of Earth turning underneath, but we'll only pay attention to what we see because we're going to use the apparent motion of the stars. We're also going to do dip correction from a geometric horizon with a straight line to it that we can't see, but can see for this example, to correct with the second horizon that we do see, and we're going to correct from a globe because we've got one, even though we can't see that horizon. So that's all going to be accepted too. Okay, so we've just, we're further down this begging the question hole than we need to be. I know that's the point you're making. But I'm saying when we get to this point, and they've got the diagram up, because typically that's where they'll start, with the diagram drawn out with the tangent planes and the dip horizon, all put on paper before they start their explanation. So you go, okay, so if that's where they start, what's the next step on? Well, let's measure an angle to the star, notwithstanding the tangent plane in the dip angle. Okay. And that's going to be at the distances ascribed to it in the heliocentric model, the whole point of the justification for the sphere and the circle that you've drawn as it on this whiteboard or whatever they're drawing it on. Okay. Well, what about those distances? Well, you've got Mars at a set distances. They're claiming to send stuff there at great expense. Are you telling me that that doesn't work anymore once you've started at the point where you're measuring the angle from a not flat plane without the ground being considered as the ground you're measuring the angle from, and a dip to a horizon that we can't see because it's bent? So we've done all that. You're now going to relinquish the stars as well? I'm just saying that this is where they start, isn't it? All the things that we're saying, oh, well, we're way down the begging the question fallacy at this point. Yeah, that's where they start with their diagram in their videos, though, isn't it? Next step, measured angle, 2 stars. The stars at the distance you say they are? No. We're gonna change that. So I want to start them off on their path when they've started their begging the question fallacy well and truly into it by pointing out the next flaw in the string of flaws that they've had to accept to get to that diagram and be a starting point for a video. So, okay, measure angle to, I'm sure there's plenty of planets that are navigational. Well, let's measure an angle to that planet to triangulate with it. What's that you say? It's no longer at the distance that NASA are claiming proof of sending people to moon and such because of the fuel and the calculatable distance. Why are we relinquishing that? It's only the first thing we're doing. And we've got to immediately relinquish a major part of the heliocentric model after you've started begging the question, all the angles and disclaimers I gave a moment ago. Do you see what I'm driving at?
Yeah, it just sounds like the story's got to change again, depending on if you're dealing with real life practicality or some fake shit. So when it's fake shit, oh, we know the distances, we send helicopters to Mars and stuff. Yeah. But when it's real, when it's something we have to actually do, like navigate on Earth, what do? Oh, we pretend we don't know those things and we just measure the elevation angles. That's it. Just change it. No matter what you need, you got what you want.
Yeah, exactly,
like
chocolate.
Chinese buffet.
Exactly. You've got it. You've hit the nail squarely on the head. Right, their starting point is, here's my circle with lines drawn to a tangent point. Here's a sensible horizon. And here's the maths that we're going to do. So let's start doing it. Step 1, measure elevation angle to the light that's all coming in parallel. That's where they begin. So you go, okay, light all coming in parallel. So what about something that's closer? About Mars? Is Mars actually a navigational star? 10th.
I believe so.
Right, so let's go with Mars. Mars is somewhere they're sending.
Hang on. If you could see it, you can use it. They have 64 total in the air almanac and over 200 in the nautical, so I'm sure it's in there.
Okay, well, if we're using Mars, then it's much, much closer than a lot of the other navigational stars, as opposed to wandering stars. Well, in this instance, okay, let's draw an angle to it then. Sorry, we've suddenly got to forget about the distance. No, that's imperative. I mean, we know we've been to the moon because we know the distance and the fuel amount needed, right? So it's critical. I mean, that's how we find our way to the moon. Are you going to relinquish that claim of known distances to get to the moon or Mars because you're going to navigate actual reality now? Let's get that clear. Step 1, measure angle to star. What's the distance? Like I say, this started with me pointing out that we're being asked it when we here, specifically, don't claim it. But they claim it, and suddenly unimportant, according to Arwin. No, I see it as deeply important, because if you're going to step in and address a video where they've already begged the question, it's already on the whiteboard, well then, take umbrage with the next step they take. Measure the angle to the star. At the distances you say in your model, because your model's on the board already, isn't it? So, okay, we're going to have to accept all that already as begging the question. Totally acceptable, right? What's next step? Measure a distance that you haven't got and needs to change? Big problem.
Well, that was my point when I said you might as well throw in the fact that like Chocolate summarized it perfect. They keep changing their story, but that's the whole point of them changing the story is now we have to assume the Earth is stationary and the stars are moving. So why are they changing the story?
Well,
Nathan,
I've covered that. Yeah, that's where we began. I've got to cover that again. Okay. Because even if I say that I will use the apparent motion of the star, just by dropping in the word apparent, woohoo, 100 people watching, please share the show, very warm welcome if you've just joined us. And the only reason we've got 100 people watching is because the people here have shared the show. So if you haven't already, smash that share button. And
Nathan, I didn't say it was unimportant, okay? I just said that's business as usual. They do it with everything.
I can't remember the words you had used exactly now, because you've put enough distance from my short-term memory to have forgotten it. But you said it's not important to them, or something like that. It's not needed
important
for them.
to them, yes, correct. Because they throw everything under the bus,
but,
right?
Yeah, but
all the time.
That's it, but that's what we should start with. If they've already begged the question and got it on the whiteboard, like Dr. Bob or whoever he's called, that's the point. It's okay. So you're going to start with this assumption, with the dip to a horizon that we've debunked. Okay, I'll accept all of it. Next step, measure angle to the distance, because we're going to use Mars. What's that? You're going to project the angle out to parallel rays, making Mars infinitely distant. Why? It's got an ascribed distance, and it's apparently very important. We need to know that, otherwise we wouldn't get the stuff to it. Are you relinquishing that we're getting stuff there? Because if you're actually doing stuff that might save your life on the ground or on the sea, you're going to use that as a navigational star and just forget that it's got this distance that NASA are sending stuff to, because your life depends on it. And the only way it works if you also want to keep your globe faith is to basically relinquish NASA's claim that they've got a distance to it. Because if you're going to not die and use a ball, you'll have parallel light and an infinite distance to it. So, life or death, which one you're going to choose if you're out at sea navigating and you're using all these begging the question fallacies? You've got light coming in parallel, right? So life or death, very literally, but figuratively. Which one you're going to pick? Is NASA right, or is the light coming in parallel?
Well, at sea, you never distances to any of the celestials are completely irrelevant. Distances are a purely astronomical conception anyway. It's just a
not when you're sending stuff there. When you're sending stuff there, picture the scenario.
What?
We are all out at sea, Arwin, together with a baller, and the baller says, "No, I can do this celestial navigation when I assume dip, and put in the maths that's been hijacked to get a more accurate correction from the horizon that we do see." That's because we've got a non-physical horizon, and the dip in my long-winded calculations I am going to use, because even though we're in a life and death situation and need to know where the hell we are, I'm still going to retain my ball faith, even though it'll take me 25 minutes to do the maths. You go, okay, so you can do it then. Yeah, I can. It does take a while, but here we go. I'm doing it. Look, check it out. My dip's from a geometric horizon, therefore I've got my ball in already. Right, okay, fine, mate. Okay, you've kept your ball faith till now. Good on you. Now we're going to use the angle we've measured. Right, in your diagram that you've just shown us, we're out at sea, we're going to die. What we're going to do, are we going to mess up this measurement by using the distance, because we've done it with Mars, to Mars? And he goes, no, at this point, the light's coming in parallel. It's considered to be in it. Sorry. So, gun against your head, you're going to say that NASA are wrong. Because for us to figure out our position right here, right now, out at sea lost, you're going to say that the light on this diagram is how you're going to move forward with this calculation. And that's going to fly in the face of NASA's claim that there's a distance to it. So, life or death situation, your money's on NASA being wrong in order to navigate.
Oh, I think I get it now. But that's kind of niche, though. Like,
we're talking about navigation. We're talking about being lost. We're talking about triangulation to find our position. When the baller begs the question and says he can still do it, he's got two choices when he gets to this point. NASA are lying. They don't have the distances, because if you take it as read that they have, you're going to get your calculations wrong. Because if you continue with your sphere begging the question, the light's going to come in parallel. Therefore, infinite distance. Therefore, NASA, so you're going to throw them away to save your life at sea to find your position.
They have to. They have to do it, right? Because they can't use the astronomy information. They can only actually use the navigation information, which is all based just on angles. It's just the angles to the celestials. That's it.
Well, why is that, though? Because that's practical. In real life,
exactly.
People actually have to get places, and people can actually do that. But the other stuff, like sending a helicopter to a light in the sky, that's a second law of thermodynamics violation. Yeah, that's nonsense. So we don't need the distances then.
Well, for navigation, you don't need any distance information at all. You just need the angles and the sort of flat star map for navigation. It's not literally flat. It's just a trick they do with angles of stars exactly above you at a apparent or at a calculated set distance. It's not really relevant. So the distance is completely irrelevant at all times for navigation. It's completely superfluous.
I mean, I see it as the same thing as, when NASA are the ones that show you a pretty magical water ball flying around in the vacuum, right? But in their documents, they say when they're building vehicles, we have to consider the Earth as flat and stationary. Well, the story just changed up, didn't it? Why would you show me one thing and then tell me in practical use, to put people's lives in risk, we have to assert that it's flat and stationary before we do anything?
Who sent the chart?
What's that?
Who sent the chart?
I did.
Did you want to talk about it?
Well, you wanted to know if Mars was part of the tables in the Nautical Almanac, and it shows it right there.
Oh,
Aries,
perfect.
Venus,
I'm
Mars.
glad that got... when you put your neck out and like, okay, you're saying it is, but thank you. I'm glad. It makes me rest easy a little bit. Great, thank you.
Yeah, but I want to comment on what Chocolate said as well, because then you just keep adding on to the inconsistencies of the globe, which is, you can't measure an angle without a tangent plane. So we got to assume the Earth is flat to get the angle. So at every point, their whole thing breaks down. They got to always go back to a flat Earth, an Earth that's stationary, not moving, and distances that are important or not important, said and unsaid. I mean, it's like, when are you guys going to take a position that actually defends the globe? They never do.
They never will.
We don't need a position to defend the globe. It's self-evident.
The problem is just defending the globe requires having both positions simultaneously. That's why they sound the way they sound when they're trying to defend this crap. That's exactly why.
So I see. So to defend the globe, they have to use the flat Earth proofs.
Exactly, because that's how you got your globe. That's why they sound like crazy people right now. I mean, sorry about you, but it's not our fault. You're the ones asserting that we live on a ball, but then you need a flat plane to get the ball in the first place? That's terrible. That's a shitty place to be in 2022 for you globers. Sorry.
Indeed. Any axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
You just covered that. Star rotation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Gas going down, go boom boom?
Which one?
Come on, break it down. Scientific evidence for gravity. Do they have any? Guess not.
Not Globers.
They're not here to defend it. They must have both sides of the argument. They're driving them nuts, Chuck.
That's weird, because like 5-6 years ago, there would have been 10 Globers yelling at us about how this is all science.
The body of science. The body of science.
Did we get a hello from Adam?
Guys.
Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, guys. Bone to pick with you, Mr. Oakley.
Got a bone to pick with me?
Yeah. So
yeah, go on.
I'm literally driving back from dropping some medicines off, and I've just caught a flat earth debate, and the bit I catch is you saying there's a low quality of puns on flat earth debate.
Yes. I justified it. Do you hear my justification?
I heard you go on to say that yours were high quality, though. Yeah.
Oh, obviously, I'm going to say that. That goes without saying.
Yeah, no. Good afternoon, guys.
The standard of puns is low because my belief is that a good pun should not interrupt the flow of the conversation and ideally slip everybody in the conversation by.
I don't buy that.
In that case, no one could ever prove it.
It should hit you a sentence or two later.
Only a bystander should catch it. Or, exactly, Adam, you took the words out of my mouth. It gets caught a little bit later, once the conversation's moved on a little bit, for it to be embarrassing for the person to say, did you just ask him if he came up with this on his own? You see what I'm saying?
Well, then I stand victorious in my defense, because Chocolate many times has said, after a second or two, ha, ha, ha.
I didn't say they were all low standards. I mean, as an accumulative average.
Wait a second. I'm still waiting for the pun from the other day that you wouldn't let be repeated.
I don't ever let them be repeated. Unless there's rumpusing going on. If I think it hasn't been heard, then fair enough.
You threw that law in right at the moment, dictator.
It's just best to not have them repeated, because then the people who've caught it in the moment and haven't said anything can chuckle to themselves, and everyone gets on with their day. That's the ideal pump. I'm not saying they're all going to be gold.
Mine are always 18 karat, buddy.
The problem with puns, it causes a chain reaction, Neil.
What was the deal yesterday?
18 karat fool's gold.
What's the deal yesterday with that Brian guy? Because I didn't know there was people in the flat earth community, in quotes, that were apprehensive, shall we say, about there being containment for the gas pressure. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yes. I've been going at it with him for a while. He goes on Gem Pandas and he says, I don't know if there's a container. And he talks about 14 PSI and blood pressure and this. And you heard it all yesterday. I'm not going to repeat it.
I didn't. But I've seen QE spitting a few chips in War Room. So what?
It was a bit long-winded.
Was that you have different cables for AC and DC, which...
No. This is before that conversation.
Yeah, but at least with the blood pressure, he's got an IV.
It's a bit like when... Do you remember when Ranty Flat Earth questioned the same thing about 5 years ago? And the basis that he questioned it on was because he didn't appreciate that when you've got a tyre, it's at zero pressure when it's in equilibrium with the air around it. So, therefore, what reads 0 on a gauge is actually 14.7. Well, likewise, if you expel gas from your physical being, that's maybe a PSI or two above standard atmospheric, even though air doesn't take the shape of a sphere, but by common vernacular, atmosphere, meaning the air pressure around you, it's a little bit higher. Well, likewise, if you put 1 PSI into a tyre, it's 15.7 PSI. But that was it. That was his basis for it. I can't understand how liquid could pump out of your body when it's only pumping out at a couple of PSI. well, a couple of psi above the standard natural psi that we experience in our air.
It's all pressure, Nathan.
But to have gas pressure, you've got to have containment. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship. You can't have gas pressure unless you've got a container.
You can't have any kind of pressure without something to press upon.
Correct.
Exactly.
But I liked how you use that hydraulic example, because you couldn't get around that.
Gases and liquids, sir. Is that what we...
Well, that's what Nathan explained to him. He was trying to claim it's all pressure. It's the same thing.
Not really compressed liquids, can you, in that? That's why hydraulics work so well. So you can apply the pressure within it, but that's not affecting the molecular behavior, whereas within a gas, you're changing the compacting more, aren't you? Whereas within hydraulics, it's surface pressure that you push out, isn't it, Emma?
I think the part you missed was Nathan saying, what if you introduce gas into the hydraulics, what would happen? And that's where he
air into the hydraulics, what would happen?
No, it busts it, doesn't it?
Same pressure, though, right? No, it's not.
No, because that will compress, won't it? When you press the pedal there, you're going to then start compressing the gas, opposed to...
You get air in your hydraulic lines, it's going to mess the whole system up. Therefore, air pressure and liquid pressure are two different things.
Did we cover scientific evidence of gravity or not?
We just did. There we go. Let me move on. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics?
Never.
Plenty things get labelled as science, though, don't they?
Why is it never, Neil?
Nimrod tried and failed.
Is that why it's never?
Come on, you've got to expand on that, Neil.
How are you going to vary and manipulate the stars, the sun, or the moon? Just explain to me, and I'll get a line right up with you.
You want it to be science. It's the other way around. You're not trying to... It depends how you look at it. You can call your dependent variable in the respect that you're attempting to vary it, but the variation is constant in terms of those things. What you're trying to do is establish what causes their variation, i.e. you vary and manipulate A, which is at this point an unknown, and cause the effect we observe in nature. That would be the star's rotation. So when you say, how are you going to vary the stars? Well, if you're going to claim it as science, you'd actually be varying the cause of the movement of the stars to validate it as the independent variable, aka cause of the effect.
How are you going to do that?
Well, you can't do that either. It's an unknown. But there may be a cause of it, is what I'm saying. Just because we don't know, there's plenty of things in science that haven't been established at a point, and then they are. Before that point, the genius who went, I wonder if it's this that causes it, and then they vary it to validate it. Before that point, it was an unknown also. Well, just because this is an unknown doesn't mean it's outside.
Earth is man's, the heavens are the Lord's.
There's a claim of how the stars rotate, though.
That's correct. Coriolis drift, 15 degrees an hour thereof.
So I guess you would have to vary and manipulate the turning of the reference frame.
Correct. You'd have to vary and manipulate the turning Earth in order to validate that as a scientific claim.
Why
Can we do that, Neil?
Yeah, Neil.
Reasons. Sorry.
What's that, Chocolate?
I don't see anybody doing it. You could Neil all you want.
I was just going to say, why aren't there like loads of stories of pilots telling us how they navigate over a moving Earth and how they have to expertly pilot while landing on a moving runway? Why does that never happen?
Because Earth's not rotating. It's not causing drift. The cause of the stars moving isn't Coriolis deflection. There'd be natural consequences that Chocolate just described if it was.
Before I'd put all the effort in to seeing if I could vary what makes the Earth rotate, I'd probably do something logical. Science, but just logical to see if it was worth going to all that effect. And look back through history, I could look at Aries' failure. Look at that, use the logic inferred from there to say, don't even bother trying to change the rate of spin of the Earth because it's not the Earth that's spinning, as demonstrated.
Even if you just went back in the day, when people used to just put themselves in balloons, you would have at least sort of had an observation if you could notice the Earth spinning away from you as you're floating above it. Because that's what would happen. But they don't even have that as an observation. So it's like you're talking about Sagnar. I mean, come on. It would just be self-evident. It's one of those things that would just be self-evident, especially because we like to put vehicles and ourselves in the sky somehow or another as people.
Somebody said it earlier, holding two positions.
Yeah, I did.
Can't feel it really, can't you?
Yep.
Well, Phil Bell thinks it's okay.
Why does he think? What does he think is okay?
Everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to agree with the story, right? They don't have any other choice, really. If they came out and said tomorrow that the moon's actually 4 million miles away, they'd have to believe that too. It's unfortunate being like a slave of a narrative. It's terrible.
Just change the model, right, Chocolate?
Just change it up. Oh, the model's wrong. Okay, thanks, lady.
How about any evidence for self-perpetuating molten iron core at the presupposed at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yeah, I talked about Thea yesterday, didn't I? Did I not talk about Thea?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
What about it?
Well, Thea hit Earth at a glancing blow. So in this diagram here, let's just pause this screenshot. Not that it's the best one for this example, but why not? So imagine over here somewhere, right, you've got a planet called Thea, and its orbit just passes Earth's orbit in the heliocentric nonsense, right? But one day, it doesn't just pass it, it collides with it at a glancing blow, right? There's a massive, massive impact. But while it destroys a fair bit of the surface of Earth, and obviously obliterates the majority of Thea, the debris, which is all around, coalesces into the moon. And the molten iron core that was at the centre of Thea is now deposited, essentially, in the centre of Earth, making it have a bigger presupposed spherical molten iron core. And the debris forms the moon, and that's the story of Thea. That's why we have Earth as it is, with a molten iron core that's bigger than it potentially should be based on the time frame they've given it.
Well, that's a story. The question is, any evidence?
I saw that episode of How the Universe Works. Filled with CGI. It was beautiful.
You want evidence for something that happened that many millions of years ago?
Because obviously there's an observer for such a thing, right, John?
They have it, right? The red shift and all that. They think they have it. They think they're looking into the past, billions of years ago.
Yeah, well, it has to be, doesn't it? Because there's no way the Earth could have formed through accretion and have that level of stuff. It requires another planet to come and deposit its stuff and a lot of water as well, so that we could have the Earth as this construct now. Because within the model, it doesn't make sense. It can't happen. So we have to have another story to account for why it doesn't fit in the model. And there you go. So it has to be true. Otherwise,
Okay, perfect. What's the story for the infinite distance? If we've got Earth with set distances, I know we covered this earlier, but what's their story? What's the reason? I want a story for why we've got to set them to infinite distances when it's life or death, and, you know, NASA are wrong. We haven't got this set distance to Mars. It's now a navigation star, light coming in parallel, infinite distance. Why? What's the story that goes along with that?
Well, it's obvious. The angle from the equatorial plane will correspond to a curved surface if you put a tangent plane below you.
Well, with the scaling values that you would be using in a heliocentric model, I don't see the difference between the angle in an infinitely distant object and an object at an astronomical distance.
There isn't. If you understand that all you've done is applied a scale, and you also understand that the scale and numbers that are set out are based on Venus having the same value as our claim to be our value. Once you know that, and you just go, well, obviously you can just slide that scale up and down wherever you like. That doesn't alter the point that I made earlier. No, according to their current rhetoric, it's critically important to know the distances to things like Mars and the Moon. Why? Well, because we're sending stuff there. So we need to know the distances. I know we're begging the question of all the other crap that comes before. I also disclaimed that last time I covered it in this show. But I'm saying, if they're going to have a distance, and they're going to claim to send stuff to those distances, and even justify previous journeys with the distances and the fuel used, then why is it the story that we relinquish that the moment light comes in parallel to an equatorial plane or a dome of the heavens off a flat plane? You know, I get that they're moving the angle to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. What I don't get is the story of why the scaling value no longer applies and the distance is infinite. I know it works that way, but why suddenly NASA wrong? Why are they suddenly no longer, you know, got their importance of the distances that they've set at the scales that they've already decided on? I want a story for it. I demand a story.
I think I just told you. Did you hear what I said?
I did hear you, but your explanation was that it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference. And my response was to say it does make a difference when simultaneously you've got a critical distance when you're sending stuff to that distance that you're measuring with your sextant.
They're different models.
Right. Well, what do you measure? You're measuring the planets with what, and you're measuring the stars with what?
An angle.
What kind? No, you got to use something to measure the angle. You can't just do it with your eye.
Okay, a protractor.
You're not going to get that kind of level of error that you could be able to distinguish the difference.
You don't think it's going to make any difference to scale it with Mars when they've done all of their calculations? The long-winded page 83 calculations with dips to horizons that have got a straight line to them. When they're doing that, I know for a fact that that example comes with light coming in parallel. That's the only way it works. Correct?
We're conflating models. Celestial navigation and the assumptions, whether they're infinite or just apparent, is for us to navigate across the plane. It's a model that works for that. From a flat Earth point of view, we assume an apparent position. From a baller's use of it, they stick it all to infinity for that purpose of that model. And again, here we, as a baller, have to hold two positions because we are in the celestial navigation just going to put them infinite and not assign a distance. But if we're then going to go into the heliocentric NASA model of being able to travel between these things, then there is an implication that there has to be an actual distance. And that would therefore cock up the fact that you've stuck Mars and everything else out at infinity, so you wouldn't be able to use celestial navigation to draw any inference from them.
Gotcha.
But it's
hold on, Chocolate, just from my own understanding. You're saying that at the point that they move the angle down to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and just describe it as being at the centre with the angles to a parallel light source, at that point it's actually a completely different model.
It's just navigating on a flat plane. You can change your coordinate system to put that data you've got from celestial navigation onto a ball. You can change, but all it's dealing with is the surface still. It's calculating a position on the surface relative to the stars, whichever way you view it. What it's not doing is locating stars.
Okay. So, in other words, where I'm positioning this, you start with Bob the science guy, got his name right at the end, with his whiteboard. He's already begged the question. He's got his angle to a tangent point. He's got his sensible horizon, and he's got his line to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth and the light coming in parallel. When he moves the angle that he's measured, presumably already done on the whiteboard, to the centre, that's the moment that you, as a flat earther, point out that, okay, at that point, you're relinquishing all claims from NASA of the distances because you're changing model. When you move that angle to the centre, you're actually moving to a celestial sphere model. You're no longer using the heliocentric model you started with. And by doing so, you're relinquishing all claims of distances that NASA use. So that's the concise summary of what that means when they move the angle to the centre and essentially change models and destroy NASA's claims of distances. Correct?
Yeah, there is no distances in the celestial sphere model. So when they go that to locate, they're working within the celestial sphere model, and that has the only distances are nautical navigators minutes, nautical miles, but they're not relevant to the distances between the stars. They're relevant to the GP lengths on the surface. That's just the only place they have a relevance, an actual real distance, is when you put them on the surface.
But you would think that since we've supposedly established the distances of these things, I mean, we've landed 5-6 rovers on Mars, supposedly. So I'm pretty sure in the heliocentric nonsense, we're pretty sure of where that thing is. So why wouldn't using the distance... Go ahead.
Okay.
Go on, John, you go.
Well, see, I was going to disagree with you. I mean, I know they're jumping models. We all know they're doing that. But Nathan hand-waved that part just to get to the point that, is there a difference? And could you measure the difference between infinite and astronomical?
No.
But they're not supposed to be infinite. I think isn't that the point?
The difference is infinity.
All I'm doing is I'm saying, regardless of whether or not you can measure a difference, if you're saying, okay, if you did actually clock it at the distance to Mars based in the heliocentric model off the celestial sphere model, how out would you be? Not very. It doesn't matter. They're justifying it with parallel light, right? That's how they have to justify it. The light comes in parallel. Not almost parallel, oh, it will make no difference. It's just it comes in parallel. So at that point, what you've got is their justification for the light at a parallel to the celestial sphere, right? So they're using a different model. Now, that's what I'm pointing out is not only can you say, okay, so you're swapping model at this point, you're also, when doing so, relinquishing the distances to all these stars. Now, previously, we've just said, oh, so they say it comes in parallel. Well, that's not right. Look at this picture of a sun. No, that's useful. I'm not saying that's wrong. 10th Man typically does it. But I'm saying more useful is to point out that when they move your man from the top of the ball in their diagram to the centre, they're changing model and relinquishing the distances to their claimed bodies that are rocks in the sky. Rather than just saying no, light doesn't come in parallel. You can strap that on at the end. Also, light doesn't come in parallel. But in order for you to change model at this point, so we're onto a second model, throwing NASA and SpaceX and anybody else that's travelling certain distances under the bus in order to do so. I just want that to be highlighted rather than just pointing a picture of a sun up and going, light doesn't come in parallel. Well, that's not been successful. They're still moving forward after changing model and in so doing relinquishing their claims that NASA make.
You're going to need R. They derive the distances from R with the transit of Venus. They've got all the scales and relationships, but you've then still got to apply it to a heliocentric model and then have a scalar to it to then define those distances in the heliocentric model based on your scalar. You did take as a flat Earth angle, but...
Right. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day! This Italian? You kidding me? Adam, what'd you think of it, honestly?
So far so good. The
only thing I'm gonna gripe is they can't catch a little girl running. Are you kidding me? They're like running so slow after. That was my only beef with it.
And he's got the force. He could have just stopped to fall into the
Well,
force.
no, he didn't use it yet. Remember, he was rusty. I had tears in my eyes when they finally used it to stop him from
don't
hitting the
go
ground.
all spoilers.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, all right. No. Lips are sealed.
Yeah, you got to say spoilers before you spoil stuff.
Nothing like flat earthers wishing space was real.
Not space. Star Wars.
It's a fictional medium.
I am actually named after an actual spinning ball space monkey.
No.
That's
your
what
real name
Saiyan
or your
is.
screen name or your real name?
No, Saiyan. Chocolate Saiyan. A Saiyan is a pretty much an ape.
Listen, they
warrior
destroyed.
That's from another planet.
Oh, okay.
Jack Space
I didn't know that.
Monkey.
Yeah, they destroyed your show. They destroyed that whole game by making it a movie. You should be in tears over that.
What? No, you can't destroy that with some.
I don't even acknowledge that nonsense. Are you kidding me?
What the hell was that anyway?
Nothing.
Nobody knows.
What are you
because
even talking about?
Nobody remembers it. It doesn't exist.
Exactly. See
that
what
was
Arwen's
worse
doing? That's exactly what you got to do with that.
That was
crap.
worse than Masters of the Universe.
I don't know what you're talking about. Man.
No, that was hilarious. Because it's so long ago.
Masters of the Universe was horrible, though.
No, man, it was hilarious.
No way.
I think that should be Hulk Hogan, Paul Orndorff, all the wrestlers of the 80s, and that movie would have been great.
Chocolate. Have you seen the...
Never seen Street Fighter, the movie.
What did you say, Adam?
Saying on the He-Man stuff. It was about a year ago, but somebody's reposted it. I'll find it and stick it in the war room. But the links between He-Man and Mudflood. It's
Are you kidding me?
No way.
No way. Oh, come on.
Serious. Look at He-Man. All of Eternia is after a mud flood. All of the equipment they could have comes from a past civilization. They don't understand why or where the magical strength comes from. They live in a land that's given to them.
Wow.
There's loads of stuff. I'll find it, guys. But it's another.
It's interesting because I don't really remember the history of each.
Yeah, me either.
That's interesting.
But you could almost say the same thing about Conan the Barbarian, right?
Same thing. He mentions that in it, actually, Arwen. Yeah, Conan again goes previous time, isn't it? And
I'm going to have to reinvestigate this mud flood then.
Right. It's almost like the mud flood concept kind of automatically creates like a rough, wild land, but with artifacts from past civilization that who knows how many times it could even happen over history.
Kind of gives a whole new meaning of having dirt on He-Man.
No, he's already got enough dirt on him right now, I think.
Do you know what else is interesting about He-Man? Skeletor is technically the last of the human race.
Yeah.
What?
All of the people from Eternia are basically alien invaders that have messed around with Skeletor's homeland. So he's actually just defending his own territory and is technically the last human. So he's just defending... Yeah.
It's a really bizarre conspiracy.
He's the good guy?
No, not the good guy.
Nobody said he's the
human.
good guy. That's not the case. But it's just a matter of fact in that story.
Really? Are you joking? And did you just make that up, or?
No, that's fact.
Really? No.
Yes.
Citation, please. I was a
Yeah,
He-Man
exactly.
fan. I don't remember that. Citation, please.
Yeah, we need to dig into this He-Man lore to get to the bottom of this.
Just look it up, you idiots.
What? Are you saying Google it? I knew you weren't making it up.
Actually, I'm not making it up. I just don't have a citation to hand.
That's what all the ballers say too.
No, I'm not just saying it to be a baller dick either. I have heard that somewhere, therefore it's true.
That's exactly what ballers say. It's okay. I never heard that before, though. It's an interesting idea.
The new Ewok is out as well. Nathan, you might like this, because in the last two episodes, he's adding a really good... Instead of just daydreaming about stuff, he's really attacking stuff. And, you know, when I was talking about it before, I don't think we need magical weapons and all these things. Just the evil of man is sufficient, I think, to explain a lot of the things that do seem odd. But he's now starting to go through it really well and adding a real good level of historical analysis. It's not getting rid of the idea that they've messed about with the timelines, but it is making it a bit more plausible, I think, in what's gone off. So I recommend them because it's a very good, honest appraisal, I think, of Mudflood.
I got something more important when you're done.
I'm done.
Keldor was the first son of King Miro and brother to the current King Randor. He was a scientist, a scholar, and a general. He was also the obvious heir to the throne of Eternia. Unfortunately, now he is dying. That is Skeletor.
Okay. That doesn't mention anything about humanity.
So, like I said, it's his home planet then. I'm pretty sure I incorrectly said it was Earth, but that's wrong. I may or may not have said that. I can't remember if I said that.
You did kind of say humans. So is this all a separate planet?
My phraseology was off.
Far
Okay. By equivalent, he's like the last human being of Eternia. I don't think I said Earth, but what I meant by that is it's his planet in the story, and he's the last one there.
I got to interrupt you, Nathan. I got to interrupt you. Though he doesn't look it, Skeletor is actually human. Well, half of him is anyway. Keldor, as he was formerly known, Tree Skullhead, is half human and half Gar. Okay, so you're half right.
Okay.
Weird. But anyway, look, the old Masters of the Universe movie completely ruined the whole thing. They did, look, they're going to Earth. But the whole point about He-Man had nothing to do with Earth, right? Only in their weird little snippets where they give you advice do they actually mention Earth things. In the story, and the Earth has nothing to do with it, never did. It's completely fictional, separate realm in the story. Unlike Transformers, which definitely involved Earth as well.
Yeah, but it's weird because these cartoons, even that the gargoyles, I used to work in that building in Manhattan where they actually have these like statues, and they really
Gargoyles was my shit.
Yeah, they were superstitious.
Sorry to be pedantic about this. Sorry, when you say hold on. Hello. When you say gargoyle, is it part of the plumbing? As in, does water gush out of their mouths when the rain comes?
Not gargling.
No. Sorry. If it, stop. if water doesn't come out of their mouths when it rains, then they're not gargoyles. They're grotesques. If you mean ugly-looking statues that sit on the side of buildings, gargoyles are very specific. That they're part of the plumbing, so they're part of the gutter work, and the gargoyle is where the water gushes out, but typically out of what would be called a grotesque if it didn't have the water coming out of the mouth of the grotesque. When it does, it's called a gargoyle.
Wow, really? That's
It doesn't
awesome.
necessarily have to come out its mouth. It can come out its hands or anything else.
Or its
too.
cock, or anything else.
So they
yes.
got. So they
Okay,
just
so
got
why
really,
do they have them on
they
the
got really
buildings?
artistic with like drainage. So it's a bit like Alhambra. Have you ever been there? They're like really. That's like a mountain with a castle on. It's all a stonework staircase, and they do everything like with water and waterfalls everywhere, running water everywhere. So it's kind of like in that trend. They just made an artistic runoff thing. You say,
Listen,
Nathan?
I've worked in that building. It's a very strange freaking building. Very eerie. They come to life at night.
I was asking a serious question about architecture.
Hang on, I'm ready for a bedtime story. Continue.
Nathan's only going to round out the show earlier if you keep this up, guys.
No, but the gargoyles were there. Listen, they're very superstitious in New York. Do you know none of the high rises have a 13th floor? It goes from 12 to 14.
Well,
Bunch
they
of
have
dumbasses.
they have a 13th floor. They just don't name it that.
Same
Right.
in Vegas.
You can't not have a 13th floor.
Exactly.
Isn't that where Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith are?
No.
Why
No.
not?
So being John Malkovich. That's the one.
I always thought engineers couldn't count when I saw there was no 13th floor.
No, it's just Freemason superstition.
Exactly. It's very superstitious over there. Weird.
13 is my lucky number. I'd want to be on that, working on that 13th floor and flourishing. It's my lucky number.
Just gonna throw this out there. Any Globers got proof we live on a ball? just for shits and giggles, and throwing it out there.
What do you
They don't
think?
have
Is
any.
Eternia a ball? No, that's
What
the
do you,
question.
Chuck,
Is Eternia a ball? They have
Yes.
spaceships, supposedly.
Yes. They approach it in the intro. It's a ball.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
poorly. I've got a challenge, Nave. So I've gone to Wiki Grayskull. I'll read it if I can. The Great Words were first mentioned in the He-Man and the Power Sword. Writer put no thought into the history of the Great Wars. The premise was simple and easy way for him to present a concept without having to explain it. Accordingly, little is mentioned of the conflict itself. It just serves primarily to convey the notion that Eternia was once a highly advanced society until the wars reduced it to barbaric post-apocalyptic wasteland with little knowledge of the previous area. This is quite interesting. The characters are familiar with science and magic, but it is implicated that any technology or sorcery predating the Great Wars is inherently superior to modern works and often incomprehensible to modern-day Eternians. This is the last bit in terms of Skeletor's provenance. When the goddess presents He-Man with the weapons and equipment she has been guarding, she implies their quality by stating they were created by scientists centuries before the Great Wars. Skeletor later claims that a hole between dimensions was opened during the Great Wars, through which he was thrown from his native dimension into Eternia. There.
Ah, you got it wrong, Nathan.
I didn't hear any
I
of
knew
that.
you were...
I don't know what
No, he was banished. He was banished to the dark dimension.
Wait, so the dark dimension is where Eternia is? So he was banished, what, from Earth? Did I miss that part? Is he from Earth? Is that's the whole point, right? Or are we saying Eternia was an old version of Earth? Like, I don't... What are we saying? I like how we're doing He-Man research right now. It's crazy. Love you guys.
I was going to say, Chocolate, so much for the FED debates. We're on He-Man research.
Why not, man?
Hey, listen to this. Listen to this. Hold on. It says it was also revealed that Hordak was responsible for creating the series Dark Hemisphere on Eternia by performing the spell of separation.
Hordak.
You got spells and hemispheres. Hordak.
I've got another contradiction. So back to Nathan. So Skeletor falls under multiple monster categories in many of his incarnations, described as being a Gar, a blue-skinned humanoid people common among the many sentient races of Eternia. So
Mine says he was native, so we got a conflict here.
Did you say blue skin?
Blue-skinned, yeah.
Yeah, there are many blue-skinned people there.
He doesn't.
There's a
have
reason
skin.
why that happened.
He's a skeleton.
Yeah, I think
No,
he
he
means blue
does have
bones. He
skin.
means blue
Only
bones.
his face is actually a skull. The rest, he has full-grown muscles and everything. Right? Only his
I guess.
Oh, very distinctly. He is kind of muscle-bound, right? It's just his face is a skeleton. It's a skull.
He's like Ghost Rider.
Come on, ballers. Look what you've descended
Yeah, kind
into.
of, yeah.
Exactly. It's actually kind of fun, though. Why not?
I love it.
Way more fun than them saying, "Oh, well, I can't know anything, so you can't know anything, but I'm going to tell you what I know."
Exactly, right?
Well, listen, did you know that they weren't even a show? They started out as toys first. It was a product of Mattel.
That's a lot of things. It's like Transformers.
Correct. And the story that Mattel had two swords. So when I got my first He-Man toy, He-Man had half a sword, and I believe Skeletor had the other half of the sword. And part of the plot on the back of the box was that they had to combine these two swords in order to create this great power. But that was cut out of the script. And one of the toys I got was a He-Man and what's his cat called? Battle Cat. I forget what the cat one is called.
Cringer.
Cringy or Cringer. It wasn't the cat I got. So what came in a 2-pack set was a He-Man with half a sword and a Battle Cat with all the armour and the headpiece and all the rest of that. And I love that toy. I played with it forever. And I recently watched a video, by chance, of old toys. And they were saying which toys were worth a lot of money because they were very limited runs. And one of them that was in the list was the He-Man and Battle Cat box set. And I was like, I had that. I wonder what it's worth now. Well, $6,000 is what it's worth now if you've got one that's never been played with. And I was like,
wow.
I wouldn't give up $6,000 to have not played with it though. Because I was talking about it with my wife. I was like, yeah, but in order to get that $6,000, you've got to be that kid that gets it and puts it on his shelf and looks at it. Whereas I chewed the sword and, do all the things that you do with toys when you're a kid. I played with it and I loved it. So that's worth more than $6,000 to me as far as I was concerned. I was like, yeah, it's a good toy.
Yeah, I got the same thing with Transformers. I got like really old G1 Transformers, like a good amount. Some of them are a bit broken though, because I played the shit out of them, right? But now, like looking at like, oh shit, a packaged new one, that's like big bucks. But yeah, I'm glad I did actually just play with them because it really helped develop the whole bunch of me.
Whoever pointed out that the cartoon came after the action figures. So the action figures came out after the Star Wars action figures. So they've gone, wow, look how much money Star Wars has made with these action figures. Let's create some action figures. But they've got nothing to create them for, so they just created a story that didn't really work out or turn into the cartoon, but the characters did.
You guys have Thundercats over there?
That was the other thing. The cartoon was developed as they were surprised they got away with it because it was essentially a televised long-form advert for the character toys. That's really what the cartoon was. Initially, it's just a way of them being able to advertise their wares to kids. That was what it was designed to do.
It was mostly just the intro. The cartoon was kind of side track, like not really. It's just the freaking intro, man. That was the whole thing.
Thundercats had the best intro. And the best sword, if we're going to compare swords. The Sword of Omens was definitely, to me, always better than He-Man's power sword.
Is that the one that Thundercats had? Is Thundercat's sword's the best sword?
Yeah, it's...
Thundercat's sword's massive.
Sword,
when he swings it around saying thunder, and then Thundercat's a hoe, it projects out a massive light. I had one of them as well with a light bulb on it. Awesome.
No, not Thundercats are ho. That's a Mandela effect. Thundercats ho. Thunder.
William Wallace.
Thundercats.
William Wallace has the best sword.
You ruined my Thundercats, Neil.
My favourite bit was Mum-Ra. Ancient spirit of evil, transform this decaying form to Mum-Ra, the ever-living.
Technically, Mum-Ra is the last human on Earth.
That's really good.
It's just defending his territory.
Here we go.
Adam, you're wasting your talent, Adam.
So Skeletor and Mum-Ra are like brothers? Is that what you're saying, Nathan?
No, different story. Don't be silly. But yeah, technically speaking, all of the Thundercats are just alien invaders, and they're just, just desiccating Mum-Ra's homeland.
Listen, technically Nathan is not wrong, because I just read that there's 4 conflicting stories about Skeletor. So technically he's right.
I was only half right. Now I'm only a
human.
quarter right. Bloody hell.
Yeah, you're going down.
It's unfortunate, tragic history loss. It's only logical after massive wars, that the history will be lost. So, of course, there's going to be a conflict to his origin.
Nathan, so you're 25% correct. I'm going to have to challenge that as a statement.
I mean, as Half-Life of facts go, this is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Imagine QE comes in now. Oh, boy, is he going to have a field day.
Well, if he does, I'll be 12.5% correct by the time he gets here.
Ballbusters this week, correct?
Indeed.
I'm already here.
Yes.
Already here.
Well, we're very sorry. We know you're a big He-Man fan.
Sword of Omens or the He-Man's power sword? Go.
Chicken soup.
Chicken
I
soup?
don't like
What?
the choices.
What cartoons did you have growing up?
Chicken soup is kind of tasty. So
This ages the majority of the panel as being children of the 80s, but what cartoons were on when you were a growing lad?
Going to be Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, definitely Foghorn Leghorn. I like the sheep. I like the sheepdogs. What was that cartoon? The sheepdogs would come into work, and that one would beat the shit out of the other one, and then tie him out at the end of the day.
No, that's the 90s, I think.
No, it's
Which
not.
way did he go, George?
Then you had Banana Splits, and they had Johnny Quest and
Astro Cats.
Astro
Super Cat.
Did you hear the little compilation that we made of you, Ackenbars?
Ooh, no, y'all made a compilation of me?
Yeah, it's just a small one. Nathan, you got that sucker.
Where is it?
Yeah, I gave it to you. You probably didn't
I think
look at
it's
it.
in Ballbusters.
It's in his personal too.
Oh, okay. Then I'll find it easier in my own one from you, right?
Yeah, last one in there. There you go.
Gem Pandas, and they were educating me from Andrew Thomas Young's paper. They're saying, yeah, those light rays, they're curving to your eyeball, right?
Yeah, buddy.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh, they are?
Line of sight is never bent.
You haven't got a straight line of sight on a globe. It's all bent.
Those light rays, they're curving to your eyeball.
Yeah, buddy.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Line of sight is never bent.
They're curving to your eyeball.
Yeah, buddy.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Line of sight is never bent.
Calling all cars. We have
Numpty dipshit.
all cars. Please assist. 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 All cars. Ple
So why don't you walk me through this?
What you want me to do this?
Up 10
Huh? What you get me do this? Prove a flat Earth? Huh? What you get me do this? Huh? What you get me do this? Proving a flat Earth? Huh? Huh? What you get me do this? Proving a flat Earth? Huh?
That is how you sound, Virus. That is.
What you get me do this? Proving a flat Earth?
Damn, walk me through this.
Damn, bro! You got me proving a flat Earth, bro! What you get me do this, bro?
Dude.
Very good.
Yo, that makes me
That's
cry
got me cracking up again. I'm laughing in my car. It's hysterical. Why'd you walk me through this?
I was hoping.
What were you saying?
Why won't you walk me through this?
bro.
Says, why don't you walk me through this? But in a very exasperated tone, which I then twisted into, why'd you make me prove a flat Earth?
Yeah, which was great.
Nathan, you gotta say bro more often.
No, the part that I wanted to get to, even though that was hilarious, was Virus. You said that the lines that come into your eyes, right? The light is curved. And then you say the light is never bent. What's up with that?
The light is bent. Your line of sight isn't.
Wow, he doubles down.
What is
two different
sight?
things?
That's okay. Hang on, that's okay.
What
take
is
that as
sight?
read. Hold on. So, what's the bent bit again? Line of sight straight. What's the bent bit?
The lines that represent light.
Lines that represent light are bent, but the line of sight is straight.
Yeah.
So, do we have a line of sight to Earth curve?
Ask that one more time.
You've just described and qualified that the light moving is bent, but the line of sight is straight. And I asked, do we have a line of sight to Earth curve?
What do you mean by Earth curve?
The curve of the Earth.
I mean, it depends. If you think the horizon is, then you will see the horizon. But if you don't think the horizon is Earth curve, then no.
Well, I'm asking you.
I think you would.
Do we have a line of sight to Earth curve? Yes or no?
It's possible, yeah.
Possible. So we have a straight line of sight to Earth curve.
Yeah, if you see Earth curve, then yeah, you will have a straight line of sight to it.
Oh, the horizon is Earth curve, right?
Depends on how you look at it. I don't.
Sorry, how are we looking at it? Are we looking at it
bent?
bent or looking at it straight? What do you mean how we're looking at it? We just got a line of sight to it. You're saying line of sight to the horizon, Earth curve? Yeah, right?
I'm saying that it depends on how you view the horizon. Is the horizon Earth curve to you, or
I
is it
use
not
my
Earth curve to
eyeballs.
you?
I use my eyeballs. Now, do we have a line of sight? Why is it that you're not just saying yes?
Yes, if you're looking at something, you have a straight line of sight to it.
So, looking at the horizon in the Black Swan, we have a straight line of sight to it, correct?
Yes.
So the Earth is a sphere at 250,000 miles radius, then?
What does that have to do with that?
Because you're saying that the horizon with a straight line to it is Earth curve, and I've pointed out that in the Black Swan, that would mean Earth curve gives us a radius of 250,000 miles, rather than 3959 miles. That's absurd. If we've got a straight line to the horizon, and that's a straight line of sight to the horizon, and the horizon is Earth curve, then Black Swan. We've got a 250,000 mile radius then.
Yeah, just
I don't
a bit
see
off.
where those two relate to each other, but anything you look at, you're going to have a straight line of sight to.
So Earth curve horizon, straight line of sight to it in the Black Swan, means that we've got an absolutely enormous, massive, great big ball. That's absurd.
No, it doesn't. It just means that you're looking in that direction. It has nothing to do.
Right, Earth's sphere radius 3959 would have the horizon with a line of sight to it at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's 1.2 miles in the Black Swan, because he's at 1 foot. Well, the distance to horizon's beyond 10 miles. So that, at minimum, puts the distance of the radius at 250,000 miles. If you've got a straight line of sight to a horizon that's Earth curve.
regardless of that, you have a straight line of sight to anything that you look at, regardless of what light is doing.
So we've got a straight line of sight to Earth curve, making Earth curve obscenely large then.
Your line of sight has nothing to do with Earth curve.
So we can't see Earth curve then. So line of sight, we now don't have a line of sight to Earth curve then.
I said it depends on how you see the horizon.
It depends. Why not just yes? So when I ask this guy if we can see Earth curve, it depends is the answer. Why not just yes? It's in your maths.
Because it depends on your way.
So, sorry, does it say it depends on the Earth curve maths? Does it say it depends above that title? Earth curve maths, but kind of depends. You can see it at these distances and these numbers, but also it kind of depends.
We're talking about line of sight.
Yeah, a straight line of sight to the horizon in the Black Swan would put Earth with a radius of 250,000 miles. It will be bigger than the claimed orbital path of the moon if that's where Earth curve is. Straight line of sight, right?
That has nothing to do with your line of sight.
So that horizon in the Black Swan isn't Earth curve then?
I don't care what it is.
So it's not Earth curve. You just don't care when it's clearly not Earth curve. Horizon's not Earth curve then, but you just don't care when it gets to that point in your argument, because if it is Earth curve and it has got a straight line of sight, that'd be straight, to it, then Earth's got a 250,000 mile radius if that's Earth curve that we can see. So let's get it clear. We can't see Earth curve then, correct?
It doesn't matter what you're looking at.
Yeah, it fucking does. If you're claiming Earth's a sphere, you're damn well going to need Earth curve, so it matters for you. We just can't see it, right? Mumble, mumble. We just can't see it, right?
That's a whole different argument.
No, it's my argument right now. You're saying Earth curve, straight line of sight, horizon, Earth curve. Well, if that's the case, 250,000 mile horizon, radius. And you're saying suddenly it doesn't matter when I point out that, so the horizon is not Earth curve. You just don't want to concede that now it's not Earth curve. That depends is now it's no longer being seen as Earth curve, right? In this scenario.
Yeah, well, how you look at it?
I look at it with my eyes. We covered that, circle jerking fundy asshole. I look at it with my eyes. You're saying straight line of sight, 250,000 mile radius is the result. Then it doesn't matter when I ask you, so the horizon is not Earth curve, because that would result in a 250,000 mile radius then.
I don't understand how you're getting...
No, well then why are you having the conversation? You don't seem to understand that the line of sight in your globe Earth horizon's bent as a result of refraction and atmosphere, but now you're telling us we've got straight lines of sight. Until I point out that the horizon being Earth curve in the Black Swan would give you a 250,000 mile radius. Suddenly it doesn't matter then, does it?
It's still a straight line of sight.
What, to a horizon putting the radius at 250,000 miles? That's obscene.
It's a straight line regardless of what you're looking at. It doesn't.
We're looking at Earth curve until it gives us a 250,000 miles horizon, and then suddenly it's what? Depends. No, depends just means a bit less strong than no, it's not Earth curve anymore. It's too far away to be Earth curve.
The line of sight is always straight, regardless. Nothing changes.
So straight to the... Okay, so line of sight to the horizon as Earth curve in the Black Swan, line of sight straight.
Whatever you're looking at, line of sight is straight.
And are we looking at Earth curve when we look at the Black Swan horizon?
It don't matter what you're looking at.
Are we? Don't be scared of the question. Are we looking at Earth curve in the Black Swan?
I don't know. You're looking at a refracted horizon.
A refracted horizon? Sorry, so we haven't got a straight line of sight anymore. It's bent. So now we're looking at something with refraction. So it's not straight line of sight. I thought anything we looked at had a straight line of sight. Now it's suddenly refracted.
You still have a straight...
Sorry, I thought anything we looked at had a straight line of sight.
You still have a straight line?
You still got a straight line of sight when it's refracted. No, it's not. If it's refracted, it's not straight. You stupid mumbling idiot.
I didn't mumble nothing.
Sorry, mate. You've just told me we've got a straight line of sight to anything we're seeing. I'm asking if you've got a straight line of sight to this Earth curve. And you're saying, no, it's refracted. That's not straight then, is it? You stupid, mumbling idiot.
You have a straight line of sight to everything that you look at.
So you've got a straight line of sight to the horizon as Earth curve in the Black Swan, then?
Oh, brother.
It's a refracted horizon.
So that's not straight then?
That has nothing to do with your...
Nothing to do with my total failure. Everything to do with you losing, you double-speaking clown. You're saying you've got a straight line to anything you can see until it's Earth curve horizon beyond its geometric limitations. Then it's refracted. But we're seeing it. And according to you, that's straight, but also refracted. You double-speaking clown.
Don't you just get tired? Don't you just get tired from switching positions in your own argument all the time?
Yeah, but he even said it himself. Oh, that's a whole other argument. See? His
we're talking about a radius value. That's completely different than we're talking about a straight line of sight.
It sounds like you don't even realize
line of sight
that
to the horizon. Line of sight to the horizon.
Okay, when you draw the...
Okay, well, that would be Earth curved, but it wouldn't be in this instance because that straight line of sight isn't straight. As soon as I ask if that horizon's Earth curve, then you tell me it's refracted. Refracted meaning bent. So we haven't got a straight line of sight to anything we can see. And in this case, I'm asking if we can see Earth curve. So we can't see Earth curve then.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not stuttering. I'm not a stuttering, mumbling idiot. Yeah, you fucking are. You stuttering, mumbling idiot. We can't see Earth curve. Because as soon as I ask why it's beyond its geometric limitations, it's because it's bent, in spite of the fact that you're telling us that we've got a straight line of sight to anything we can see. Until it's Earth curve, then it ain't straight, is it? Then it's bent. Obviously, you need it to be straight when you're correcting dip from it. But in this instance, it's just a maybe. Maybe we'll see Earth curve today. Maybe we won't. Depends how you look at it. Maybe it'll be a straight line to it. Maybe it'll be refracted if we see it. Just depends on whether or not I need a straight line today or not. Not whether or not the horizon's Earth curve. It isn't.
No, it doesn't. I don't understand how you're getting all of that.
Because it would be a 250,000-mile radius if the horizon was something with a straight line that we could see beyond its geometric limitations in the Black Swan. I did explain it to you. It's just you're a chanting, fundy mutterer who mutters through every last word I say so you don't have to listen to it.
I'm hearing everything that you said.
Oh, well, the horizon's not Earth curve then, is it? Obviously, we'd have a massive sphere Earth if that was the leading edge of it.
But you're not listening.
That's not you muttering through me, is it?
If you look south, there is not no...
Why are we looking south? We're looking at the horizon that's not Earth curve. That's what we're looking at. Bent line, refracted line. I thought everything we could see had a straight line of sight to it. Why are we now needing to look south? We don't. The horizon's not Earth curve.
Okay, because this is the direction you're looking in.
That's fascinating. Meanwhile, the horizon's not Earth curve because it would give us a 250,000-mile radius if we could draw it with a straight line of sight to it.
What does that have to do with the direction you're looking in?
It has everything to do with the horizon not being Earth curve. Because according to you, anything we can see, we've got a straight line to it, until I ask if we've got a straight line to Earth curve. Then it's not straight anymore. And that contradiction is something that's a big problem if you need geometrically straight lines to tangent points to claim their Earth curve. That's why you're saying you've got a straight line, until I offer up the Black Swan. And then the conclusion is that that horizon, not Earth curve, has got a bent line to it, even though we can see it.
The light is bent, not your...
Yeah, so the line of sight not straight then. So we're looking at Earth curve with a bent line then. So when we're looking at Earth curve, just so we're all clear about what virus's position is, if you're looking at Earth curve, that's why it depends. Then you've got a bent line to it. But if you're looking at Earth curve and it's not beyond its geometric limitations, then it's got a straight line to it. So it depends on whether or not it's fucking not Earth curve or not then.
No, what the fuck?
No, well, is it Earth curve that we're looking at in the Black Swan or isn't it?
You always have a straight line of sight.
So therefore we've got an absolutely enormous Earth and the horizon that's blocking our views miles away because we've got a straight line to it. So it's not a refracted line miles away, it's a straight geometric line to it. The Earth curve edge, blocking the boats beyond it at 10 miles. Well, if it's blocking boats at 10 miles, straight line to it, then Earth's absolutely enormous, virus. Do you want to tell me again that we haven't got a straight line to Earth curve, that it's refracted?
What? That has nothing...
Well, I'm not that high-pitched.
The direction you look in is the direction you look in. It has, regardless of what light is doing. It could be no light around and pitch black. The direction you're looking in is still the direction you're looking in.
Fascinating. And are we looking at a straight line at Earth curve in the Black Swan?
If you see it, then that's what you got a straight line to it.
Well, then that would mean Earth's absolutely enormous, because suddenly we've got a geometric limitation 10 miles away when we're only a foot above the ground, meaning a sphere Earth of that dimension would be enormous.
If you were looking at the geometric horizon, yeah.
So are we? Because that's something that has a straight line to it. And obviously we're looking at it, so we've got a straight line to it, haven't we, Virus?
I repeated plenty of times that it's a refracted horizon. And
so not a straight line to it then. So we're looking at it, but it's not a straight line, it's a bent line now. So we aren't always seeing straight lines then. It depends on whether we're looking at Earth curve as a horizon. Then it depends.
No, it doesn't.
So we have got a straight line. We can just see Earth curve then in the Black Swan.
If you're looking at Earth curve, you got a straight line to it.
So if we're not looking at Earth curve, we haven't got a straight line to it. So therefore, what you're looking at and whether or not the light's bent depends on whether or not you're looking at Earth curve. It's not just the Earth curve they lay down in the Earth curve maths. It's very much a depends on where it is that day. So it's not a physical limitation. It depends on where the hell it is that day, whether or not you've got a straight line to it, right? Earth curve, that is.
So why when I say...
So why are you asking me? I'm asking, does Earth curve depend on whether or not it's where you think it'll be? And if it isn't, you've got a bent line to it. Is that correct?
Oh, it's always the same.
Well, no, because in the Black Swan, it's beyond its geometric limitations. Definitely not always the same, you stupid idiot. Definitely not always in the same place.
Refraction is doing. It doesn't even have...
Sorry, refraction's not a straight line to it. So we haven't got a straight line to Earth curve in this scenario now. Now we've got bent lines to it. Okay?
There's no scenario.
So why you keep going up in an octave every time I catch you out on your double-speak contradiction? Yeah, Earth curve... If we've seen it and it's got a straight line to it, then in the Black Swan, Earth's massive. But your justification is to tell me we're not seeing straight lines anymore in that scenario. So it depends on whether or not you're looking at Earth curve, on whether or not the line's going to be bent. And it depends on whether it's supposed to be where it's supposed to be or if it's physically moved. Yeah?
It doesn't depend. It doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't depend now. So why did you say it depends earlier?
I never said...
Yeah, I never said when I lie I go really high-pitched.
Said it depends.
Sorry, you said it depends then. So you did say it depends.
Line of sight depends on nothing but the direction you look at.
I'm looking at a horizon. Is that Earth curve or not?
I don't know. Depending on what you think.
You don't know? So you're a globe-believing muppet who doesn't know whether or not he's looking at Earth curve. I just thought the horizon for a globe believer was the horizon that you see and think is Earth curve. Now you're saying it depends? My God, there's most of the Western world just believe that the horizon's Earth curve. Why don't you? Is it because of the Black Swan?
You are looking at the horizon. It depends on what you think of the horizon.
I don't think anything of the horizon. You think it's Earth curve, though.
I think the horizon is where the ground fades away from you.
So not Earth curve, then?
Yes, it could be Earth curve.
It could be Earth curve. It just depends, right? Could be. Isn't necessarily definitely the Earth curve in the Earth curve maths. It kind of depends. It's ambiguous. This physical limitation, hill claim to get in the way. It depends. It might be a hill in the way today, but tomorrow it might not be.
Not if there ain't a hill there in the first place. I'm not understanding the situation.
Well, Earth curve is supposed to be a hill getting in the way. Don't you understand what a physical limitation to a boat and building in the Earth curve maths is? It's a hill in the way.
Not when you say it, no.
Not when I say it. Well, no, Earth curve maths are saying it. I made that clear.
Oh, well, I don't use that. So.
You don't use the Earth curve maths, so then you are alone in this discussion then. Because there's a clear claim from people who aren't boneheads that Earth curve limitations, a hill in the way, is represented at a certain distance. As soon as we point out the Black Swan to you, though, suddenly we've got a big problem. Not a straight line anymore. Not everything we can see that would include Earth curve has got a straight line of sight to it now. Then it depends. No, not according to the Earth curve maths virus. It doesn't depend according to them. According to them, you can see Earth curve at a physical distance.
It doesn't depend. I never said...
Oh, it doesn't depend. Well, then there's a big problem because the Black Swan shows that limitation beyond its geometric capabilities.
What?
You ever get tired of double speaking, virus?
Yeah,
I mean, you flip-flopped your position 46 times just in the past 10 minutes, man.
Yeah,
Are you
your
kidding?
position
Explain
is
to me how
kind of
double speaking.
incontinent
Explain
at this point.
Chocolate, explain how it's double
Master B,
speak.
Nathan.
By the power of Grayskull.
Nobody got that?
By the power of Grayskull.
Chocolate,
What is
explain
wrong
to me
with
how
you,
it's double speak.
virus?
His position is getting kind of incontinent. Come on. Depends.
How is it double speaking?
Listen, I don't even. The sad thing is, he doesn't even know what he's saying.
Okay, well, we've got the
How is it
diagram.
double speaking?
Okay, we've got the diagram up for Al-Biruni measuring dip to a geometric physical limitation known as Earth curve, right? You know the Al-Biruni story?
Yeah.
Okay, he's got a straight line to a horizon.
Okay, his line of sight is straight. Okay, so what?
Okay. So, Black Swan.
That has nothing to do. Well, I don't understand the.
So he's looking at the same horizon that we're looking at in the Black Swan. It's just a horizon that he's using. Do you not understand?
Yeah, and it's refracted. That's why he's a.
Sorry, it's refracted. Sorry, for the audience's benefit, this line with a square drawn on it definitely doesn't have a bent line between A and C. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to draw this 90-degree angle. So no.
Is that line a representation?
Is it bent?
I'm representing.
Is it bent?
Representing.
Is it bent?
What is the line?
Is it bent?
What does it represent?
Is it bent?
What does it represent?
Is it bent?
Represent.
Is it bent?
What does it represent?
Hello, you stupid clown. Is it a bent line?
What does the line represent?
So why are you asking me something? You've just told me that this line between A and C is bent. No, it isn't. You are fundamentally incorrect about what Al-Biruni did, you stupid idiot.
What does the line...
So why are you asking me something rather than conceding that you were incorrect when you said this line from C to A was bent for Biruni? It wasn't, you stupid idiot.
What you're talking about?
The line you said was bent to the horizon.
What picture are you talking about?
The Biruni method that I made clear we were discussing.
Can you post a picture for me? Because I don't know what...
Of the Biruni method that you agreed you understood. I need to post it to you now. I've absolutely taken your pants down and given your ass a good spanking with the fact that this line ain't bent. Like you said, it was bent.
I understand the argument, not the picture.
Oh, really? Well, this line ain't bent. So why did you say it was bent if you understand how stupid you are for saying it was?
I don't know what line you're talking...
The line between the geometric horizon, known as Earth curve, and Al-Biruni's position on the mountain is not bent.
What does the line represent?
It represents the absolute annihilation of globe Earth and the physical geometric limitation at the horizon. That's what it represents. It represents the death of your religion in a globe. Do you understand, you stupid clown? This line isn't bent.
Does it represent light?
Yeah, it represents what he's looking at. He's looking at a geometric limitation to his view known as Earth curve. The same horizon in the Black Swan, however, is bent according to you.
That line in the in the Black Swan would not be bent if it's his line of sight.
Oh, really? So that would give us a 250,000-mile radius then, because the limitation to the boats and buildings is beyond 10 miles. So if the line to that is straight now, I mean, a minute ago it was refracted, but now we're back to the Black Swan having a straight line to it because Al-Biruni needs a straight line. Sorry, that's very high-pitched.
Line to it.
Sorry, do you want to go up another octave? Can you squeeze one more octave out of it? Yeah, so it was refracted a minute ago, right? We all got clear that it's refracted, but now it's straight in the Black Swan because Al-Biruni needs it to be straight.
I never said it was not refracted. I never said that.
Not refracted, so straight.
I never said that it was not refracted.
Oh, okay, so the line of sight in the Black Swan is straight. Therefore, the horizon representing Earth curve gives you an absolutely enormous sphere then.
Only if you're looking at the geometric horizon.
Oh, what, like Al-Biruni is? I see. So Al-Biruni's got a bent line because he's looking at the geometric horizon then.
I thought you said it wasn't...
Sorry, that's another octave higher than it was previously. Is it just because I've taken your pants down and spanked you again?
Unless the line represents light, it is not going to be bent.
Oh, sorry, he's looking at the horizon. It's definitely representative of light.
No, it's representing his...
No! So Al-Biruni's not looking at the horizon according to Virus.
That's not what I said.
Sorry, unless you said if it's light, well, then he's looking at it.
That line represented light.
Yeah, he's looking at it. 5th time. Yes, light, he's looking at the horizon. That's right.
Virus,
Straight.
what do you think you see when you open your eyes, Virus?
You said what?
So why is it that this line between the horizon and Al-Biruni is straight when, according to you, refracted lines of sight to the horizon in the Black Swan? So therefore, I asked you, why are you saying that this line to a geometric horizon is bent when Biruni needs it to be straight?
Unless the line is representing light, it is not.
Yeah, he's looking at it. He's looking at the horizon. We covered this 6 times. Back to the Ferndi circle jerk.
What are they, don't you?
Yeah, he's looking at it. It represents like he's looking at it. It's just not bent for his measurement. We all clear? Not bent? Not like the line of sight you're claiming is refracted?
Oh my God.
Don't blaspheme. You're just getting your ass spanked. It doesn't mean you need to appeal to God.
Line of sight and light are not the same thing.
Really? Looking at things and the line of sight aren't the same thing? I see. So which one is Al-Biruni dealing with? Is he looking at, aka line of sight to the horizon, like the horizon in the Black Swan? Are they the same horizon? Horizon Biruni's looking at and the horizon in the Black Swan. Are they different, those horizons?
They're both refracted.
So you think horizon's refracted for Biruni? Both refracted? No, you total idiot. Al-Biruni's horizon is not refracted, or he wouldn't have a triangle with 90 degrees at the tangent. No, they're not both refracted. You don't understand Biruni. You are clearly demented. You are clearly an idiot.
Presenting light.
Nathan, may I read the 2
line of sight and light are not the same thing.
Really? Yeah, hold on one second. Let me take a shot at reasoning with this numpty. All right. When you look at something with your eyes, what are you seeing?
The light that's coming into your eyes.
So the light is the compelling factor of the matter with sight. So if the light's bent and light's hitting your eyes, isn't the line of sight bent?
No, light is. Your line of sight is the direction you're looking in.
It's not a direction
because of refraction. It doesn't change because of
direction. Numpty. Sight, right? Sight is governed by the light that hits your eyes. If that light that's hitting your eyes that you already said is bent, then your line of sight is therefore bent.
No, the direction you look in is still the direction
it's
you
look in. It's not a direction, you fucking clown.
That's what I'm talking about when I say line of sight.
That's what you're talking about.
Line of sight and what's in your field of view. It's in that direction. Refraction don't change.
It's in that direction. You keep on saying direction. Pull up a definition.
That's what I mean by that.
Point up a definition.
That's what I mean when I say that.
I'll tell you what, you fucking idiot. Pull up a citation with line of sight with direction in it. I mean, this is elementary. If you're looking at something and your sight is dependent on the light that's hitting your eye, so that's the groundwork framework of the discussion, right? If that light's bent and you're looking at the light, guess what?
I just pulled it up. A line from an observer's eye to a distant point. 2. The line between 2 points, specifically the straight path between transmitting antenna, as for radio or television signals, and the receiving antenna, when unobstructed by the horizon. Isn't that interesting?
Oh. Yes, line of sight, a straight line along which an observer has unobstructed vision. That's what I'm talking about. You look in a certain direction. That's
where's the direction at in those definitions?
So let's just tie it down then. So in this instance, as per the definition, including what the horizon's doing, a line of sight is your view between you and a distant object, correct?
Yeah, between you and what you're seeing.
Right. And are we seeing Earth curve in the Black Swan? My original question.
You're seeing a refracted.
So that's not bent. Then you don't think refracted means bent?
What?
Refracted means deviated from straight, not straight. So go up 2 octaves. Go on. So we're not seeing Earth curve then in the Black Swan then.
You're seeing a refracted horizon. That's what you're
not
seeing.
Straight.
No
then.
such animal exists.
So when it says specifically a line from the observer to a distant point, that line also defined specifically as the straight path, that's actually bent, defying the definition of line of sight then.
Yeah, you're seeing out to a point.
Sorry, the point that by definition is the straight path, not refracted, according to the definition of line of sight. So line of sight to the horizon as Earth curve in the Black Swan, just not Earth curve.
What you're seeing is a refracted horizon.
Sorry, refracted isn't straight. So violating the definition of line of sight then. Line of sight being a straight line?
It does exist. I don't see why it don't exist. It does.
Because you're saying it's refracted. So if you don't understand why being deviated from straight isn't straight, there is no helping you.
Line of sight and light aren't the same thing. Lines that represent
He goes
light
again saying the same thing. What a doofus.
Virus, man. You're out of your mind, bro.
Yeah, he is.
You're really out of your mind.
I mean, it'd probably be a lot better if I actually drew this out for y'all.
Do you need light to see? Do you need light to see?
Yes, but at the same time, it could be pitch black in the direction you're looking in. It's still the direction you're looking in.
You're not seeing anything, are you?
Okay, that's all right. Let's see if he accepts a second definition.
But
line
your
of
eyes
sight.
are open, and that's the direction you're looking in.
Clearly he's going to run past the second
eyes are
definition.
open.
Hello? Let's just see if he'll tolerate a second definition. Line of sight. The line of sight, also known as visual axis or straight line, also open brackets straight space line, is an imaginary line between an observer, spectator's eye, and a subject of interest, or their relative direction. There you go. There's direction in there for you. The term line typically presumes that the light between by which the observed object is seen travels as a straight ray, which sometimes not the case, as light can take a curved path when reflected from a mirror, refracted by a lens, or density changes by the traversed medium.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So which is it? Do we see a straight line of sight to the Earth curve in the Black Swan or not?
You have a straight line of sight to the refracted horizon.
Right, if it's refracted, it's not straight. That's a contradiction in terms.
You have a straight line of sight to the refracted horizon.
Right, you can't have a straight refracted line. You can't have a straight bent line. That's a contradiction in terms. Second time I've said it.
I didn't say straight bent line.
You said you've got a straight line of sight to the refracted horizon. Therefore, you've got a straight bent line.
Light is bending it to your eye.
So not a straight line then. So a straight line of sight which is bent is a contradiction in terms. That's the third time.
And for the second time I told you I didn't say that. So
do we see Earth curve in the Black Swan or not?
You're seeing a refracted horizon. That's what you see.
So that means bent line to it.
That means bent light.
Bent light. So therefore, the line of sight to the horizon's bent.
No, light coming from the horizon is bent.
So if we can see the horizon...
And what are you seeing?
Okay. If we can see the horizon, right, what we're seeing has a bent line to our eyes, correct?
Okay.
No, I'm asking, is that correct? Is that your position? If we can see the horizon, there's a bent line from it.
The light coming from the ground is being bent into your vision, yes.
So if we're looking at the horizon specifically, there's a bent line coming to your eyes, correct? According to you.
Yes, when you're looking out in that direction, bent lines of light are going into your eyes.
Okay, so the horizon, when looking at it, has a bent line to your eyes, according to you?
Refracted horizon has light that bends into your eyes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Al-Biruni says otherwise. According to this diagram where he derived an R value by having a straight line to the horizon he can see. So you are literally pissing in the face of Al-Biruni right now. On screen the entire time you told us how bent that line was.
No, light is bent, not the direction you're looking in. If that light...
Right, Al-Biruni's looking at a horizon in the diagram that's been on screen this entire time that you told us how bent the line from the horizon you claim you're looking at is. Well, that pisses in the face of this diagram with a straight line then, because he's looking at the horizon. You've just made it explicitly clear that the line coming from the horizon to your eyes is bent. Not according to this diagram with Al-Biruni's measurement of the geometric horizon known as Earth curve. He's got a straight line. So he's not in agreement with you. He's saying straight line to the geometric horizon. You're saying it's bent. You're pissing in the face of Al-Biruni right now.
No, I'm actually not.
You said that the line from the horizon was bent. If you can see it, the light coming to your eyes is bent. Here's a diagram of Al-Biruni. The light to his horizon has got a straight line to it. The problem is that if you claim you've got a straight line, it messes up the geometry. Black Swan has killed your globe. So you simultaneously need both a bent line to be a straight line. Al-Biruni's got a straight line to the horizon. The one you're telling us about how that light from the horizon bends into your eyes.
Yeah, that line doesn't represent light.
Oh, so when he looked at the horizon, it doesn't represent light from the horizon going into his eyes to measure? Yet you're just still pissing in the face of Al-Biruni now, aren't you? Because he very much has got a straight line in this diagram, and it needs to be to get 90 degrees for his triangle to his claim to be centre of the Earth. Now, if according to you, that line along the top, where he looks at this point, which is the horizon, bends into his eyes, then he hasn't got a frigging triangle anymore.
You're thinking of it the wrong way.
Sorry, you're stuttering much. Am I thinking about it the wrong way when I've had a diagram up of what Al-Biruni did? No, I'm not thinking of it the wrong way. You just ballsed up Biruni's measurement by telling us how bent the horizon line is. Oh, I've got a bent line because I'm looking at it. Therefore, it's light. Therefore, it's coming into my eyes in a bend. Oh, really? Well, that ballses up Biruni's measurement, doesn't it?
That line can originate from his position as his vision and not light.
As his vision, not light. Sorry, we already established with two definitions that it is light.
It's not light.
So when we're looking at stuff now, it's not light. What a complete wanker. So we're not looking at things with light, kiddies. When Biruni's measurement fails, the anti-flat earther will tell you that you're not looking at things with light. Wanker, hello, wanker much? You're going to deny this so much that you're going to deny that looking at stuff needs light? What a wanker. That's what you've got to do if you're a globe believer. You get to the point where your argument fails so badly, you'll deny that looking at stuff needs light.
Exactly. I didn't deny that.
I didn't deny that. Why are you going to make me do this?
What kind of bullshit is that?
Why are you going to make me deny the light makes you see things, man? Why are you going to deny this?
I won't make you do that.
Why you make me deny the light needs to see things, man? Why you make me do this?
Akumu, sight requires
I think that would be
light.
Common to do that.
Exactly, Owen.
Like seeing things needs light, you complete and utter retard. You just denied that and then denied denying it, you stupid fool. You need me to trim it out and put another best of together like QE did at the beginning of this? You stupid demented idiot. You've denied that needing to see things requires light. That makes you a fool. It makes you an idiot, and you're only doing it because you've lost the straight line that Biruni needs to have a triangle to get R.
That means they're not the same thing.
What, the horizon being physical, not the same thing as Biruni's measuring? Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The horizon is an Earth curve. That's the conclusion. The answer that you wouldn't give me to the first question I asked, are we seeing Earth curve in the Black Swan? Well, it depends. It depends whether or not you're going to need a straight line to derive R from. Because then it's going to be Earth curve, and you definitely got a straight line if you're Biruni. But if we're looking at the Black Swan, then no, it's got a bent line to it then. Obviously, we need both to be true.
I want to know why QE hijacked
It doesn't
Trump's
depend
question.
on anything like that whatsoever. I don't know how you came up with that, but okay.
Because it's on screen. Baruni said it's got a straight line to it. You told us all the lines were bent. Pissing in the face of Baruni's straight line to a horizon he can see. Because according to you, he can't. It's bent. He's not got a straight line and can't get this triangle. That's why.
How
can I stutter my way through a question of you when I humiliate you? Yeah, I've humiliated you and you think you need to stutter your way through a question of me, do you, Dumbo?
No.
You globe Earth dead virus. You haven't got any straight lines to derive art like Al Baruni's doing. You made it explicitly clear. If you're looking at something, in this case the horizon, then the light's coming to your eyes by way of a bent line, refracted line, ballsing up this measurement on screen.
Not really, that line.
Not really. It can kind of be straight to get a 90 degree at the tangent point. No, it has to be straight. Not really, kind of. Not, it depends. You need a straight line and Black Swan took it away from you. Hence you telling us how refracted it is. So we've taken this line that's straight away from the globe. You're the one telling us how bent it is.
It doesn't
Nathan,
depend.
can you
I don't know
post
where
the
you keep
last two
getting that
slides
from.
I put there after that one, the picture? I'd like to read them.
Go ahead.
Second step in his method was to find the angle of dip or angle of depression of the flat horizon from the mountaintop using the astrolabe in the same way. This being the fourth measurement, it can be further seen from the diagram that his line of sight from the mountaintop to the horizon will make an angle of 90 degrees with the radius.
Not if it's bent, it won't. According to Virus, there's a bent line coming from the horizon. You're not going to get 90 degree from a bent line.
The next one reads, and then you can go chocolate. It's all right. Al-Biruni determined a mountain's height by measuring angles to its top from 2 points at sea, using a giant protractor. He then measured the angle from the peak to the line of sight of the horizon. Al-Biruni's right triangle, the mountaintop, horizon, and the Earth's center are corners of a right triangle. He derived lengths from the angle. No bent lines.
Yeah, chocolate.
Yeah, I just wanted to read one line from their alma mater wiki about Al-Biruni. Quote, one significant problem with this approach is that Al-Biruni was not aware of atmospheric refraction and made no allowance for it. End quote.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in... did I say Discord and G+ panel? And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashing the PayPal link, hitting the thanks button, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.